Call to order study session for July 15th, 2020. Roll call, please.
Mr. Burleson,
Here.
Ms. Cardona,
Here.
Mr. Gill,
Here.
Mr. Gillette,
Here.
Ms. Little,
Here.
Ms. Wooland,
Here.
Mr. Kennedy, I'm assuming is absent.
He is not here.
Thank you. Mr. Eberly,
Here.
Mr. Kraus,
Here.
Attorney Decker,
Here.
Mr. Panzik.
Here.
First item on the agenda is Three Springs Unit 3. Petitioner will be seeking to plat a combination of single-family and duplex lots on land located north of the pipeline easements at a public hearing to be held on August 5th.
Good evening, Doug Reddick with DVG, representing Three Springs Development with what we're calling Three Springs Phase 3, Block 1. So this is the north portion of the project that was previously approved. Our one-year extension was denied, but as we indicated at that time that we would come in, he only wanted to build the north part at that time anyway. So I've turned in engineering drawings to Rick and Ken for their review. It's the same drawings that we submitted before, and we had approval on. Again, before we had approval on the whole project, now we're just going for the north portion, north of the pipelines. So it's the same plat we presented a month ago, and same plan that we've always presented for the north portion of the site. I'll be glad to answer any questions if anybody has any questions.
Anyone from the board have any questions? No? Rick, you have anything to add? Or?
No, the zoning's been in place for quite a while. I think Doug mentioned that. These plat sizes are reflective of what we've seen before. It's a mix of R1, R2, and R3. Lots 21 through 23 are R3, the duplex lots. You can see they're identified there as to which ones are R1, which are R2. The R2 lots, as you know, have to be at least 15,000 square feet, and the R1 lots have to be at least 20,000 square feet.
And Rick, you did get the engineering drawings, I think,
Yes.
yesterday. Ken, did you also get the engineering drawings?
Ken, did you hear that? You got the engineering drawings? I know he was copied on your email, Doug, so I know he did.
This is Yolanda. Quick question. Is there any plans in terms of, I know that this is the part one that you're presenting today, but are there any plans that you know of in terms of what will come next? My concern is obviously the amount of duplex homes. So 21 through 23 are already there. And my concern is how many more would we have should the development continue to say a part two per se?
Phase Block 2, there's 3 lots that are already zoned for duplexes. I do believe Dave will want to come back in and ask for some more duplex lots because we are willing to move the road and only have lots on one side of the road. But that is not set in stone yet. I don't know when he's going to ask me to do that. But that was his intention, move the road for safety's sake, get more separation from the pipelines, in exchange for losing lots on one side of the road, ask for some more duplex lots and some more, we already have some single-family lots already zoned there. But I don't have a timeline as to when we will be back with that.
And if that should come back, it would be a public hearing for a rezoning.
Correct. We won't be able to do anything until we have that.
Right. Still your intention to go ahead with a public hearing on August 5th, correct?
Yes.
All right.
Okay, see you August 5th.
Mr. Burleson, before you
Yep.
dismiss, do you mind if I make a comment or
Yes,
have a
go ahead.
question? Rick, do you recall, probably a year and a half ago, we had looked at the railroad crossing for a potential bike path passage, and the railroad crossing ended up being north of the easements for the pipeline, et cetera. We were hoping they would line up. I don't know if you have a picture of that would depict that.
That'll be on the,
Might be aerial photo.
right here.
So, Doug, the drainage easement you showed, like between those two lots, what is going to be happening at those
Between
drainage?
lots 21 and 7? Is that the easement you're referring to?
The one that's further to the west, yeah. Is that going to be a swale? Is that just easement for access to the lake?
Both. It is a overland flood route for the water. There's a low spot in the street, and it is for flood routing to the lake,
Okay,
as well as access, but
right.
it's,
I was looking at that. I was just looking at one last chance if there's any opportunity to split the lots in a different manner to provide a path over to that, an easement, to move the drainage easement to possibly align up near that crossing in case the town ever wanted to put a path through there to connect over the tracks and into the future development between the tracks. It may be one of our last chances. I'm not sure if Rick can blow that up a little bit.
So where is that path?
Yeah,
South of the lake?
If he blows it up more,
I'm not sure where it is either, Paul. I remember discussing it. I don't know where it's at on here.
yeah, you can usually see, I don't see it yet. I think it's further south.
South?
Is it south of the,
there it is.
here? Right here?
Yep.
Right there? Okay. So if I zoom, let's say zoom out a little bit,
Yep.
try to get, oops,
Maybe get a distance or
distance,
something.
yeah.
Yeah.
Come on.
You did a line measure from the southern property, that might give you something.
But was it right?
It's
Right there, yeah, okay. Almost 400 feet, Doug, from the south
Yeah, that's probably in the pipeline easement,
I thought we looked really close and it
was not?
it was a little north, like it was behind lot 22 and 23.
Now, let's see.
Well, I wouldn't,
I would be glad to add that to the drawing so we can discuss that. I don't,
Yeah, I mean, if it would be somehow possible to split, to move that drainage easement to land between 22 and 23.
I can't move that one because we need it for drainage. But could we possibly do something else? I'm receptive to looking at that.
Just for the benefit of the town, it won't cause any hardship, but if there's any way to, if that crossing is right there behind 22, 23, if there's any way to get to it, to provide that future easement, it'd be a great thing.
I understand, and I will make sure it's on the drawing so we can discuss it further.
Okay, thank you, I really appreciate that.
All good?
all good. See you August 5th.
See you soon.
Next item is the Gates of St. John East, Unit 21B. Petitioner will be seeking to plat 25 single-family lots as part of the original 108 acres that have been in town for several years. Public hearing will be announced at the August 5th, 2020 meeting.
Hello, I'm John Lawton, from developer from the Gates of St. John, and we're presenting for your consideration the primary plat for 21B, and I'm here to answer any questions you have.
For the edification of the Plan Commission members, this is a bank of lots that John did not plat in the first primary platting effort involving the 108 acres when he platted like 21, 22, 23, 25, and 26, I believe is, but you see that, you don't yet, you'll see it when I bring it over here.
Yeah, I don't believe 25 was part of that. I think 25 is in the
The second one.
disputed area.
Okay. But this bank of lots here is in the 108 acres that has been in town for a number of years. And I did have Ken Kraus verify that. The lots that John had platted were north of this area here. So this is 25, these are 25 lots that would make up Unit 21B as it says on the plat there.
So this is not part of the,
It's not part of the annexed area or the area that's
In dispute.
disputed in terms of zoning and, right.
so this is already zone
This is zoned R2 PUD at this time.
R2 PUD.
And those are lots 2142 through 2163 are 60 feet wide. And then those three lots on the east side, 2164 through 66, are 55.33 feet wide. Two corner lots are a little wider.
Any questions for Mr. Lawton?
This would be part of the existing subdivision that's in there. They're just adding to it.
Correct.
Yeah, if not sure if I can bring this up without. I'm going to try to bring up the plat that was approved, so you can see this maybe a little better.
Jason, is there any way to turn this remote speaker up? We could barely.
We could barely hear Yolanda when she was speaking, Jason.
Yeah, that's all right.
Okay, this is the drawing I wanted to show you. This is part of the 108 acres, and at the time, John did not plat this bank here, and that's what he's planning, that's what he's platting now. Always was part of the 108 acres, it wasn't platted when the rest of these phases here were platted. So that's what, that is what's become 21B.
Any more questions from the board or anybody else?
As the agenda says, the public hearing for the primary plat would be announced at your August 5th meeting, and the public hearing would take place on September 2nd.
Okay,
All right, thank
see you
you.
then. Thank you.
All right.
Next item on the agenda, Continental Unit 2, petitioner will be seeking secondary plat approval at the August 5th, 2020 meeting.
Good evening, Jack Slager with Shilling Development, and I'm also joined tonight by the newest member of our team, Kevin Hunt. who's also part of Shilling Development now. So Continental, just to refresh your memory, was primary platted 52 lots in early 2019. We came back in October of 2019 with the first 17 lots as Phase 1. And over the winter, we put in Phase 1 with the entrance and the improvements to 93rd. Now we're adding another 14 lots. This would be a street and cul-de-sac going up to the northeast. Yeah, so we're basically seeking final plat on those 14 lots. It's basically the mirrors what was approved on the primary plat. And at this point, all of the underground utilities are complete. They are putting the roads in now. And also just as a refresher, the roads in this subdivision are considered private roads because it was a PUD with the gated entrance, so they are private roads. But yeah, strictly 14 lots following the primary plat.
Any questions for Mr. Slager? Since this is a private subdivision, is this, do you have letter of credit or with the town?
There may be,
Yes,
and
there would
we'll
be.
work that out over the next 2 weeks with Ken Kraus. You know, normally it's the roads, which in this case it's not, so we'll make sure that all the sewers and water main and everything has been approved and tested, and there may be a small amount for erosion control or as-built drawings or something like that, but it'll be pretty minor.
Right, but all the utilities remain in public easements, so
Public
those are our responsibilities, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. This is Ken. I did ask Jack to send me the construction costs
Yep,
so I can figure out the developer's fee and whatever letter of credit that may be with this project.
yep,
But the letter of credit is to protect the future buyers of these lots. So it doesn't matter if it's private or public.
Okay.
yep. Okay, and yeah, I'll have those costs to you tomorrow, Ken.
Thank you.
Is this the final unit?
It is not.
Okay.
There will probably be at least two more after
more.
this, but, yeah, usually about 15 to 17 lots like this, yeah.
Okay. How many lots total?
52,
52. Okay.
yeah.
This is Mike Gillette. I got a quick question about the gate access. What kind of provisions are going to be made in place for emergency services?
Yeah, that's a good question. So we are we're working with the gate manufacturer and also a security expert right now on the access of the gate. And one of the things that we had promised during the primary approval was that we would have the gate and the access system in place prior to first occupancy of a home in the development. At this point, there have been no starts in the development. We haven't had anybody even submit plans yet. So we're still a good 6 months to a year away from actually having occupancy in the development. But we do plan in the next 6 months to have the gate in place. And shortly thereafter, we'll have the security system in place. The keypad, we're working with a company that is familiar with the town of St. John, that is familiar with the emergency access that's required. So all of that's still being worked out, but we will have that shortly.
Okay, very good. I'm just concerned about a delay, in the gate opening. That's all.
Yeah, yeah, we'll have that.
Where's the gate at, Jack?
Well, the gate is at on the south end off this drawing, and then also there'll be the emergency access in the back off of Knickerbocker.
Okay. And both of those will be in?
Yeah, yeah. That'll be part of the whole perimeter fence and everything.
Okay. Any other questions? Hearing none, see you August 5th.
Okay, thank you.
Next item on the agenda, the Preserve East Shilling Development, petitioner will be seeking the rezoning of approximately 35 acres of property in the 9500 block of White Oak Avenue from open space to R1 Single Family Residential.
So again, Jack with Shilling Development, representing the preserve. We've got, actually, I have the next three items on the agenda. We wanted to kind of bring all three projects in together, and we'll talk about them in succession. Interestingly enough, all three projects will need to be rezoned. All three projects are currently zoned open space, OS or open space. Open space was a common zoning that has been used in the past, typically as property was annexed into the town, and the landowner, in most cases, was a farm or farmland, and they wanted to keep their low tax rate as they got annexed into the town. So they designated an open space designation as a placeholder in the place of like an agricultural, what used to be agricultural zone. So a lot of these farms that we're picking up are zoned open space. It's a way for the landowner to keep their taxes low. In this case, this is a 35-acre parcel on the east side of White Oak, just north of the Rosewood subdivision, formerly owned by the Casboni brothers. And I believe that they had been, at least, I don't know if they'd actually gotten up here and presented, but they had been on your agenda over the past couple months, looking at potentially rezoning a portion of this and starting to split off some lots. I've listened back to the tapes of that, and I know there was some concern by the Plan Commission about having multiple driveways out onto White Oak. That's something that we want to avoid, and with this plan, we would have simply one access off of White Oak. It's a unique piece of land. We would be seeking to rezone from the OS open space to a straight R1 zoning. The R1 would require 20,000 square foot lots. We're proposing a total of 30 lots, as you can see from the plan. And I don't know, did you guys get one of these also?
Yes.
Okay, so you've got it in front of you, it's on the board. One access point off of White Oak, also a separate access point off of 96th. There's a lot of low ground in the middle of the property. There's actually a lake back there. There's some floodplain and some wetlands all in the middle. We're going to surround that, basically develop on the high ground. There are also two unique parcels on the south end that would front into the Rosewood development. You see those designated as Lot 14 and Lot 15. Those are both over an acre, and they would actually front onto Elvina Rose Court in the Rosewood development. So we may be coming back, we will be coming back in multiple phases, and I believe we'll be bringing in those two lots alone to start with, because they can be easily developed. They're developed already. The road's there, the sewer and water is there. So we'll plat those first two lots on the Rosewood side, and then we'll later pick one of the other two to develop first. We're hoping to connect with a walking path between the east part of the development and the west part of the development, and potentially that walking path could connect into Rosewood, and it could also connect across White Oak to the current bike path of the preserve. You see where he's got his cursor up there. The preserve bike path ends right now near the old driveway there. That will be extended up along White Oak all the way to 93rd, and so we would like to tie into that with this development, probably with a crosswalk at the entrance. So yeah, a total of 30 lots on 35 acres. We're less than 1 unit per acre. We would keep the covenants very high. They'd be similar to Rosewood covenants or higher. Heavy architectural control. Homeowners association, and just a nice, unique, high-end development. So any questions about that?
And this, as Jack said, this will be a public hearing for rezoning.
Okay.
And you would be and you're still planning on August 5th for the public hearing?
Yeah,
or-
that would be my hope. Obviously, we have to get our notices out and everything, so we'll see how
We're
that timing
close.
works out. Yep.
Yeah. And you would conduct a public hearing, make a recommendation one way or another to the town council?
Nice start.
Okay, no questions on that one.
No.
All right, moving on to the next one. I don't know if you want to announce it.
Sure, what the heck. Preserve West Shilling Development will be seeking to rezone 134 acres of land west of the preserve and north of 101st from open space to PUD.
Okay, so again, and the working names of these right now, we're simply calling them Preserve East for the last one, Preserve West for this one. Those names may be tweaked as we go through the process, but at least it's helping everybody kind of get a bearing of where these properties are. This was formerly the Buckmeyer Farm, and this is 134 acres lying directly west of the current preserve development. The only frontage of this property is on 101st, directly across from the Saddle Creek development. It's completely surrounded by Bull Run Ditch. There's a number of pipelines running through the property. There's wetlands and floodplain around the perimeter. And again, it's currently zoned open space. We would be seeking to rezone this to an RC1 PUD development. RC1 PUD is what we have as the current zoning of the preserve. I believe when we came in 5 years ago with the preserve, we were the first ones to use the RC1 PUD zoning designation, and I'm not sure if anybody has used it since then, but it's a special.
RC1, no.
Okay, so the
RC2, but-
RC1 is residential conservation. It's a special zoning that is put in place to, for property that has special natural features that would like to be maintained. In this case, we have the creek all the way around us. We've got some other woods and open land that we'd like to maintain. It allows us to do, the RC1 zoning allows us to do 80-foot by 150-foot lots, and as long as the density kind of remains the same, and basically we have to follow all the other R1 requirements. So this would be a mix of 80-foot, 90-foot, and 100-foot lots, as we've been doing in the preserve, kind of a nice mix of lots. We're going to construct an 8-acre lake in the middle of the development that will be a wet pond with a fountain. We'll have lots around that. We've been getting requests in the preserve for lots that back up to or have a view of water. We really don't have that now, so that'll be a nice added feature. It will connect to what's currently Unit 3 of the preserve. We will have to build a bridge across Bull Run, but this will effectively get us a new entrance to preserve out to 101st Avenue. So as adding this on to the preserve, we will now have an entrance on 101st, we'll have an entrance on White Oak, and ultimately we'll have an entrance on 93rd. We'd also be looking to expand our bike trails that have become very popular in the preserve. Obviously, we talked about that a little earlier. We're going to be expanding the bike path up White Oak. We'd like to somehow get it involved in this development. We're not sure where yet. It may follow the pipeline, it may follow the creek. But ultimately, if we get it out to 101st, we can tie in with the bike system that's in Saddle Creek, which ultimately connects up with Greystone. It'll really make a nice network of walking and bike trails on this side of town. Again, we're going to keep the covenant strong. We've got a strong HOA in preserve now. We're going to keep the covenants high. We're going to have high architectural requirements, and we think it's going to be a nice addition to the preserve. We're currently in the process of developing the 4th phase of the original preserve. That had a total of 8 phases, so we're nearing the halfway point. We've been there 5 years. We anticipated that would be an 8 to 10 year development. This will probably add another 4 to 5 years to that. So we're We're just trying to plan well in advance. Again, we're excited about getting a new entrance out to 101st, and ultimately another entrance out to 93rd. So if there's any questions about this, I know this is a first look, and we'll be bringing it back and tweaking it, but we'd like to hear your thoughts on it.
In terms of the overall density, they're well below
Well below.
the R1. And as Jack mentioned in his comments earlier, if you grant an RC1 PUD, you have to maintain that they can't have any more higher density with an RC1 PUD than they'd have out of that property as an R1 zoned property. And my calculations, they could have up to 188 lots here at R1 density, and they've got 143 or 4.
I think we're at 148 right now,
148,
but
yeah.
that will fluctuate.
And what was the max you're thinking, that you calculated?
It's 1.4 units times the 134 acres, so that's about 188 lots, and they're only proposing 148, so well below what they could do as either an R1 or RC1
Right.
PUD. A lot of green space, I like that. Like the connection of the bike path. And obviously, they're stubbing the 2 streets out to the west for potential future development as well.
There's some high ground there. It's, there's some individual landowners to the west, but there is high developable ground to the west.
Floodplain or wetland issues in here, Jack?
Yeah, we've gotten the wetland delineation. The majority of it is up in the north end where that big lobe is. And floodplain, same thing, all along the creek, so we're staying out of it.
Don't anticipate any of the houses being,
No,
or,
we're going to stay way away from it.
good.
We're aware of the pipelines, obviously. We're aware of the new ordinance and the town's concern with proximity to pipelines. We're allowing some extra space, not backing up lots directly onto a pipeline or putting a house, within 10 feet of a pipeline. So we're trying to allow an extra cushion there as we have 3 different pipelines that bisect this property. So we're aware of that and working around those.
Hi, this is Mike Gillette again. I got a quick question about bike trails. Is there any possibility that we could get a connector to Bramblewood? Or is that even a consideration at this time?
I'd love to. I don't know that Bramblewood has an access point where they could get in. Ultimately, our goal would be to at least get up to 93rd. The current bike path system that we're proposing with the preserve goes up White Oak, goes along 93rd, and kind of dead ends at Shilton Hills Drive. So at that point, the bike path is about halfway to Bramblewood along 93rd, and ultimately, I think that's going to be their connector. It gets a little difficult to get across the creek, which is between us and Bramblewood there. But, we'd be open to it if there was a place to do it.
Rick, do you know of any possibility there?
Mike, what I'll do is I'll take a look at the plat for Bramblewood and see if there's any kind of access easements coming off of Julia Drive.
Just south of that cul-de-sac, there's a little space between the lots.
They're down here, John?
No, up by the Keyhole cul-de-sac north.
Oh, up here?
Yeah, see the two double,
right here.
double green there, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'll look at the plat for Bramblewood and see what opportunities there might be there, Mike.
It's
Thank you.
it's difficult. You've got several hundred feet of floodplain on either side of that creek and wetlands, so
Yep.
it becomes difficult, but maybe not impossible.
Rick and Bob, if you don't mind, I've looked at that as well. In fact, I had a conversation with Jack probably 3-4 months about this very subject, because I've looked at the whole 93rd corridor for bike paths. So there's a sidewalk that terminates, at the very least, we have a sidewalk that terminates at the eastern end of Bramblewood. Then you have private property, that new ranch that wraps the corner. Then I believe it's all Shilling property. You have that preserved cul-de-sac. Then there's another private landowner in a floodplain in the midst of it all. So, yeah, we definitely have our eyes on that. Like, it would be nice to connect somehow the northern termination of the preserved path over to Bramblewood, because that would also connect it to Edgewood. So if we can at least connect to that sidewalk, you've connected to both of those subdivisions, because there's a crossing, I believe, at Calumet. So Mike, definitely on that track. So we'll see what other creative ideas Jack and Shilling folks can come up with. But it's necessary. We need to connect that west end of town into the center.
Yeah, it looks like, John, that sliver you were talking about is owned by the Bramblewood HOA, and this whole outlot, I take it, is owned by the HOA.
Mhm.
But I'm sure, like Jack said, if I were to turn on the wetland and FEMA, that's all floodplain and wetland in there. So, yeah, definitely, like Jack said, challenges. Doesn't mean it's not possible, but challenges for certain.
Suspension bridge.
Portage with a canoe.
Yeah. Might be the Golden Gate suspension bridge, but
A lot of floodplain in there.
Yeah. Are we ready for Greystone?
yep.
You wanna-
Do you mind, President, if I make another comment?
Yeah,
or
go- absolutely, go ahead.
inquiry? Two more things I just would like to bring up to the Plan Commission for consideration. One would be the street alignment to the south, the north-south street alignment between this proposed development. Generally, we try to connect streets and not have that offset intersection. And the other thing I'll mention is, generally, we require, well, not generally, we require sidewalks along frontage, and I'm not sure if there's a sidewalk, if they planned a sidewalk along White Oak or requested a waiver. But,
You mean 101st?
I mean, yeah, 101st, sorry.
I fully expected to curb and sidewalk that. I expected that requirement, and I'm okay with that. Obviously, it doesn't go anywhere, but it's a start. So we would curb our frontage and provide a sidewalk from our east boundary to our west boundary along 101st.
So, with that in mind, we've done some creative things in the past, and there is a sidewalk on the south side of 101st.
Yep.
Everything south of 101st is newly, more modern platted with full right-of-way. The north side, you have some private landowners breaking up that continuity, I suppose.
Yeah.
So, and in fact, I see a sidewalk. It looks like it runs all the way to the Saddle Creek entrance. So I wonder if there's any kind of a potential to do a swap, if it would be more advantageous even to your residents to put a crosswalk.
Yep.
And put the same amount of path on the south side of 101st.
Yeah.
Because it would grant your residents better connectivity.
Yeah, absolutely. And we would like to get our bike path, wherever that ends up, connected in with the Saddle Creek bike path, which you can see it. It stubs right there, which is not an ideal place for it. But somehow, yeah, we want to get those systems connected. So if you would rather have us put our sidewalk on the south side of 101st to increase the connectivity, and it probably has more value there, I don't think we'd be opposed to that.
And that would be a plan commission decision. I'm just giving some suggestions based on things we've done in the past. So essentially taking their segment and moving it to between Bluffview and Saddle Creek Drive would give that subdivision better connectivity to the others and to the bike paths.
Aren't I seeing a sidewalk there now?
It starts at Saddle Creek, I think, and maybe goes, it goes mostly towards Wellington.
It goes all the way to Wellington.
It goes to
yeah.
Wellington, so it could continue on to Bluff Creek and connect to Preserve West if they were to place it on the south side as opposed to the north
Well,
side.
that's what I'm saying. It looks like there's a sidewalk here.
Is there?
I don't, why don't you go to the regular GIS?
Yeah, I
And
don't think.
That might be shoulder stone.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it is.
So then it would also bring connectivity to that other path as well. And what would be ideal, even just to take it a step further, is if that was an 8-foot wide sidewalk, because essentially it would become a path or a segment of path that we wouldn't have to try to turn around and widen later. Currently, we have the bicycles painted on the street. Folks are out there, so.
Okay.
Now, I probably would agree with you, Paul, having the street lined up with, what street is that?
Bluffview Road.
Bluffview Road? Was there any reason why you offset it to the east?
Yeah, honestly, I think when they laid out Saddle Creek, they probably put it where they put it because of convenience or dimensions. We've looked at more of the topography of the road, and we like to put it at the high point for visibility pulling
Right,
out.
That's what was my second question.
So that's where we put it, was at the high point of the ground. I could move it east or west some. I'd probably not prefer to line it up, but if it needs to go further east to have more separation, that might be an option.
Yeah, I think, Jack, we look for a minimum 125-foot distance between offsets. And I'm not sure that's there, but I can see the problem you'd have if you moved it over to Bluffview.
Yep.
With that property that's not even in town, right, John?
Right, that's out. Yeah.
That's out, yeah. And getting the right-of-way to do the accel, decel lanes correctly.
And sight distance
And
too.
sight, yeah,
Yep.
yeah, sight lines.
Yeah, and we would do the whole XL, decel on our side. Yeah, you can see on here, there is sidewalk, for some reason.
Over here, yeah,
Sidewalk there,
yeah.
and then, I don't
Not
know
here.
where it stops. Slide over a little bit. Yeah, it goes
Right here, yeah.
They did have 2 bike paths. They had, this
Right.
one is still existing, this is a paved bike path. They used to have a gravel bike path here, and that one's gone now. That's been overgrown or removed. That would actually be ideal for us to tie into, because that is across from our property. This one that's paved is not across from our property, so, yeah, we'll have
Yeah.
to explore that a little further.
I think you're right on your first comment, Jack. I think that's become overgrown as opposed, right?
It was just a crushed limestone.
Yeah, it's
path
not,
and
I
it's
looked
not been
yesterday,
mowed.
and it's not even there, and it's just grass that they mow now, so that would be the better place for us to tie in, but
Did you happen to look, Jack, is that the case all the way through here, or is it just the case?
just that piece.
This piece
Yeah.
here?
Yeah, all the way around that lake was limestone, or
Yeah.
is limestone, and then there's the paved ones on the
Over here, yeah.
east side of the lake, yeah. Over by the park and the pavilion and all that.
Were they supposed to put one in, or?
And the paved one comes across here
Yep.
as well, yeah. Yeah. So they had, like Jack said, they had 2 at one time. The gravel has become overgrown. So your plan, let's see, what did we say, Jack? We're gonna be announcing the public hearing on August 5th, and it would actually take place on September 2nd.
That would be our rezone public
Well,
hearing.
that's the rezone.
Yeah.
Now,
So-
keep in mind, I know Jack's aware of this, but when it's a PUD rezone, there's a whole lot more work that they have to do than just the typical rezone for like the former Casboni property. That's
Right.
gonna be a standard R1 rezoning. They don't have to have the plat complete and engineering complete. There's a There's a whole list of things, laundry list of things they do have to have complete for a PUD
Well,
rezoning.
and, yeah, and so ultimately, that's the risk for us, and why we come to the study session, asking for input from you as to whether you're in favor of or opposed to the PUD zoning. In order for us to get the PUD zoning, we literally have to go through the entire engineering process. So hopefully, you're in favor of the general design and concept that we've put forth, and the RC1 PUD that will mimic what we've done in the preserve. And we'll continue to come back in future study sessions and tweak this further as we get comments from you. But it will take months for us to get through that process.
In the preserve, Jack, are you having, I'm not sure how to say this, but with the lots, the lot widths that you have, you know, the 80, you have 80 foot?
We have
90
80,
foot,
90, and 100.
100. Do you have favorable likes with the 80 and 90 with the size of
Yeah.
house going on those
Yeah,
lots?
it's really been a nice combination, you know, for the people that want 100 and are willing to pay for a 100-foot wide lot. We have a nice variety of those, and, you know, the majority of the people are fine with an 80-foot lot. The homes are not restricted by that any, that most of the homes are 60 to 64 feet wide, so they fit on any. So, yeah, you know, and also, we have a lot of lots that back up to nothing, which you see here. The depth anywhere from 150 to 200 feet, so a lot of different variation. I think more so the demand that we're seeing is for a lot that backs up to no neighbor, regardless of the size. And so we're going to have a lot more of that here. And again, we're seeing demand for any lot that backs up to water. We don't have that now anywhere in preserve, so I'm excited to be able to offer this 8-acre pond. Is to give you an idea of the scale of this, and you know, we're looking at a pretty big site here, but that pond is essentially double the size of the current pond that's at Prairie West Park. So it's a good-sized pond.
My final question, so is St. John looking maybe to put a bike path from 101st through this development up to possibly Bull Run? If it could go across the ditch, or are we just looking to continue the sidewalk on 101st?
No, well, Jack's saying that they're looking to put a bike path.
We're looking to put a bike path somewhere in this development. Now,
Would it be on the rear of the lots or through the subdivision?
don't know yet, but I will say, you know, the biggest obstacle in connecting all of this is getting across Bull Run Ditch.
Yeah.
We are going to cross Bull Run Ditch with our road connecting in, so we will.
Right here.
We'll have a bridge, we'll have a road and sidewalk going across, so there is a crossing point there. Ultimately, if we can't get across anywhere else, we can get across there, so if we can get, we'll for sure we'll have sidewalks to there, but if we can get either a wider sidewalk or a bike path to that point, then we get across, and then ultimately the whole system ties back up to 93rd.
Okay.
It's lengthy, I mean, it'll be 4 or 5 miles when it's all done.
Right.
So,
There's not a current bike path in Preserve, correct? Going through?
other than along White Oak.
White
and
Oak,
we-
okay.
We've required, the north side of Waterleaf is a 7-foot sidewalk. So that was kind of our, we knew we wanted to get an east-west connection. Waterleaf is our main entrance off of White Oak and will also be the bridge. So the north side of Waterleaf has a 7-foot sidewalk instead of a 5-foot sidewalk.
This is where the cursor is? That's
Yeah.
Waterleaf?
Yeah.
Okay, 7 foot.
So, you know, whether people actually use that as part of the bike path or not, it's a little bit wider sidewalk. It connects east to west. If not, if they're biking, they'll just use the street.
Adding to your comment, Mr. Burleson, I guess it would be a great idea to consider adding the easement to connect to Julia, where we noticed the Bramblewood HOA has some open space.
Yep.
So that if the town were able to procure funds or a grant to get across that creek, we'd have a place to do it. Hardest part's getting the land sometimes.
Right.
So.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and we've got multiple access points where the pipelines go through, so that may be the ideal spot. Yeah,
So, if the easement could be added to the plat, just as a just in case, it'd be a great thing.
okay.
No other questions? All right, see you August 5th.
Thank you.
Next meeting on the agenda, Greystone Unit 3, Shilling Development to rezone 40 acres on the west side of Calumet Avenue and south of Greystone Unit 2 from open space to PUD.
So again, this is a piece of farmland, currently zoned open space. This was formerly the Sigma Farm. This is on the west side of Calumet Avenue, just south of Greystone Unit 2, where we're developing now. And it goes all the way and becomes adjacent to the Heritage Christian High School property that's on Calumet. There is a pipeline along the north boundary which is where we've stopped our development now. It's 40 acres, currently zoned OS, and we would be seeking to rezone this to an R3 PUD, which again mimics the zoning that we have on the parcel just to the north. We would like to continue with the same products and the same two builders. We have McFarland Homes and Shilling Construction building paired villas and cottage homes. We'd like to continue that product on this parcel, a mix of both. We are going to add additional park space to the park space we dedicated in the previous phase, which again kind of encompasses that pipeline easement that cuts through there. We are going to finish the bike path going east and west through this development. We are currently waiting for the pipeline company. They've just started again with redoing their pipelines through there. They were in there last year making a big mess, and now they've started again. So we've been waiting for them to get done and get out of the way. And so ultimately, that's going to make a nice connection there, too. We're stubbing it out to the west. Where it goes from there, it has the potential to go south or west from there, following
right through
either
here,
of the
Jack?
pipelines.
Right through here?
Yep.
Yep.
So, as promised, when we came in with Greystone Unit 2, at that point, the Plan Commission was looking for a future connective road that would get over to State Line Road. And if you see the pink coloring there, that's your town boundary. And so we are stubbing a road directly into that parcel.
Right here.
That could ultimately provide a stub over to State Line Road. And that was something we talked about 2-3 years ago when we did Greystone Unit 2. Other than that, we're going to continue our sidewalk along Calumet. Paul, I know you fought for that when we did the last phase of Greystone. It's working. We put the sidewalk in. Now we will continue it south. Basically, we'll stub it all the way to the school property. Ultimately, whether it's that school or somebody else that is able to extend it further south. Now you've got Ileana Christian down at the next intersection. It's a nice addition to have that sidewalk on the west side of Calumet there. We do have one professional office space lot, which is adjacent to the previously approved professional office space lot along, right at the entrance there at Calumet and Graystone Drive. Other than that, we've tried to, not give it a grid pattern, but put some nice curved roads in there. Again, these are all maintenance-free units. They take care of the grass and the snow. We've got a strong HOA, high architectural control, and again, we just want to continue on with the same product that we've had in there. Any questions?
Do you have a drawing that you can pass out?
Yeah.
of that?
You should have one.
I don't have one.
Oh, no, you're right. It's not the Sigma one. No. Thank you.
Any questions to Jack Slager?
Same schedule for this one, Mr. Chairman. That would be announcing a public hearing at the August 5th meeting, with the public hearing to take place September 2nd.
All right, hearing none. See you then.
Okay, thank you. We will probably continue to come back to study sessions as we refine these plans on all three of these projects. So, if you have any questions in the meantime, feel free to pass them along. Thank you.
How many units is that? How many-
There's 148 units total. It's in real small print down in the lower left corner there.
Okay, I'm sorry. And this is Hanover, right? This is Hanover School District?
That's correct.
Next item on the agenda, Sublime Estates petitioner will be seeking to plat a 9-lot R1 subdivision on the north side of 93rd, east of Lancer Estates,
It's actually west of Lancer Estates.
west.
Good evening, Doug Reddick with DVG, representing Sublime Development. I also brought this before you a month or so ago. Nothing's changed. This is what we intend to do. It's a R1 project, just a small little cul-de-sac with 9 lots. Have not started engineering, but we will be working on engineering in the coming weeks, and we will be back for our public hearing soon, but not at the next meeting. So-
Right, we don't have a schedule
No.
yet for that.
No.
Right.
He doesn't want to build it till next year, so we'll be working on this in the next couple of months.
This will just be primary plat public hearing because it's
Right.
already zoned R1.
Right, exactly, so.
Any questions for Doug?
I know I brought this up last time about the entrance being off of 93rd Avenue. Is there no way to connect it to the Rose Garden subdivision to the north?
Huge wetland in between.
Okay.
We're basically building on some high ground. You can see it there on the GIS, it shows up,
Right here is the wetland Doug is referring to.
Mm-hmm.
wetland and floodplain.
Oh,
so
yeah, it's a big
It's
swath.
not gonna, it's not gonna go well. But again, we're only talking about 9 lots, so.
Were we looking to put a sidewalk along 93rd on the south side? Paul, do you remember?
We are in preliminary planning stages of various improvements that we're going to try to accomplish on 93rd. And one of them will likely be a path along the whole length of it. More than likely, that path would be on the north side from Claremont back towards 41. Because the south side is all wetland, you'd have to surcharge it.
Right,
It'd be a
yeah.
lot of dirt work. Right, so in fact, Claremont is a key position in that concept, because from Claremont east, there's actually a sidewalk on the, running along there. South and north side at some points, but definitely along the south side, in front of Clark and onward. So But I believe they're giving the right-of-way as part of this. I'm sure Doug has calculated that in, so at least across their frontage, we will now have that right-of-way for that short segment at the very least.
Okay.
What is it, 45 on either side of the center line there, or?
Currently, it's 30 on both sides. I think I'm sure they dedicated a little bit more on the south side, but it's actually, yeah, it's probably 30 on the north and 40, actually it varies depending which subdivision you're in. But we have no problem dedicating 40, 45, whatever you need.
Yeah, it looks like you wouldn't be using that anyway, so
No.
additional might be helpful at that point, especially if there's any widening down at that intersection in the future. So I would prefer 45 off the center line.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure on the south side. You have your line, but then there's a dashed line.
Yeah, that's, and if you, I'm looking at the GIS exhibit, and it's clearly at least 40 for part of it, and maybe even 50 in front of,
Outlot A.
It looks like
Yes.
it's 40 here, Doug, on
right?
the
And
GIS.
then see how it jumps to another 10 feet?
Yeah, and it's 50 over here, it's 30 feet here.
It's all over the place, but we
Yeah.
could give you 45 or 50 on our side, that's not a problem.
Every little bit helps.
Let's go for 50, Paul.
Might as well.
You'd have to come back and ask for a couple of feet later, and we have a lot of that in town. Just short, you know.
That's, again, that's a non-issue because of the outlots. Those outlots are gonna be landscape areas anyway.
Is any of that, I'm looking for the slide again. Is any of the northwestern part of it adjacent to 93rd?
Yeah, we have that lot 9, so we could dedicate additional right away there as well.
Doesn't have to be 50, but
We'll do it the same. It's not gonna hurt us.
okay.
Any more questions? Okay.
We'll be back.
Yeah, Doug, you just let me know what agenda you want to be on next. It'll be, I'm sure it'll be another study session coming up, but, yeah, just let me know.
Next item, discuss plans to update the zoning ordinance, as well as changes to the subdivision control ordinance.
Right, and what I'm going to focus on for this meeting are the changes to the subdivision control ordinance. I don't want to jump into the zoning ordinance until we've comfortably wrapped our mind around the subdivision control ordinance. And I'm going to ask for Adam to clarify a couple of things legally for us if we can, but between the time the Plan Commission made its recommendation to the council to adopt the changes to the subdivision control ordinance and the council meeting at which it was prepared to do that, the Public Works Director expressed some concern that we didn't get all of his recommended changes into the document. So we, just to be cautious, we said, all right, let's put the brakes on. We asked the council to defer the matter so that Bob Davis, our Public Works Director, and Ken Kraus and I could meet to make sure we'd addressed all Bob's concerns. Turns out that we had all of his changes in the subdivision control ordinance, but there are two documents that are in the binder that I have, that is the subdivision control ordinance, that were inserted in there for convenience sake, but are not truly part of the subdivision control ordinance. And I think I made copies for you. That's the water, the street lighting control and design standards, and the water distribution standards. These actually, as I say, physically are in this, But when you look at the table of contents, it's obvious that they're not a part of the subdivision control ordinance. And Bob's changes predominantly were to these documents. When he didn't see it in the subdivision control ordinance itself, he thought we missed it, and we had not. But there was one change that I realized after the fact, after our June 3rd meeting, that was a conflict within the zoning, or I'm sorry, the subdivision control ordinance, that I wanted to address anyway. So between Bob and Ken and I, we took advantage of the opportunity to take another look at this, and we made the changes to these two documents. We decided to actually include them as part of the subdivision control ordinance, since they're so, I guess, such an integral part of it anyway. They're design standards for development, so it should be part of this document. So we're making it part of the document. We've made the changes to these two documents that we all wanted to see in those documents. And the new table of contents will reflect that. Jason has joined us, and I want to give a shout out to Jason. He has really helped with formatting this document for us and making it a more clear document to read. And he's putting the final touches on it even today. He and I were meeting this afternoon to put the final touches on it. And again, while we were doing this, Bob, there were a couple of other changes that Bob wanted to make to the subdivision control ordinance itself. And you have the list in front of you. It's a two-sided sheet of paper. This is where I'm going to ask Adam to help me with this, but what we need to do at your August 5th meeting is give this list, prepare this list, and tell the council, these are changes that you want, that we need to make to the subdivision control ordinance. It'll go to the council. The council will recommend this back the council will recommend this list to us out of its July meeting to you as a plan commission. And at your August 5th meeting, you'll be asked to accept these changes and put them into the subdivision control ordinance, sending it back to the town.
Well, yeah,
potentially.
if I may, Rick.
Yes, please.
Mr. Chair, yeah, so pursuant to applicable Indiana code, the process, I think Rick is essentially correct, but basically the town council as the legislative body may adopt the ordinance that's been prepared to make these amendments, including the amendments that Rick has discussed. So, and I would anticipate that occurring at the July meeting of the town council. And so if and when that occurs, and by law, the town council must take some action within 90 days after the date the plan commission met to certify those proposed amendments. Even though they've been slightly revised, that's all right. But I think we'll meet that 90-day period. And so by adopting the amended ordinance, it would then be returned to the plan commission for its consideration, basically with a statement showing those amendments. And then the plan commission would have 45 days after the town council meeting in July to either, basically to consider the amendments, and if it approves the amendments, then the ordinance stands as passed by the legislative body, the town council, in the July meeting.
Okay.
So it will go to the town council. I anticipate they would adopt the amended ordinance. It would come back to the plan commission. Plan commission would have 45 days to consider that. If it approves that amended ordinance, then it's been approved.
Been approved, okay. Doesn't have to go back to the town council then?
It would not have to go back to the town council a second time.
And it does
Okay.
not need another public hearing.
Okay.
The way we're doing it this way does not need another public hearing for the subdivision control ordinance,
That is
Okay.
correct.
right? So the things that are on that double-sided sheet, those are the changes to the subdivision control ordinance itself. And then, like I said, we're going to be adding these two documents and making it a part of the subdivision control ordinance itself. Jason, did you have any comments about putting that together, the final touches?
It went decently. The hardest part was the water connection.
Drawings, right?
Yes, the drawings and the water cross-connection part of it were the worst ones. They've been copied and scanned and,
Okay.
but the street light control and design, those were original PDFs. They came out looking beautiful. In fact, if you want to pull up the N-Drive subdivision control ordinance, Jason 4 with drawings.
Okay, so I have to go to the end drive, okay, because this is the latest one I have that's in this.
Yeah, you have to go to the N-Drive.
All right. Let's see. There it is.
Jason with drawings.
Yeah, this one here.
As you can see, I finished editing it at 6:30 today.
Hot off the press.
Yes.
Without those documents, I believe it topped out at 96 pages. With the documents and the drawings added, it's at 140 pages. If you scroll down, you can see that there's a nicely formatted index or table of contents.
I need to reduce that.
Yeah, there's the table of contents. And then if you look for Appendix A and B, A is the water standards, B is the streetlights.
Okay.
Right. And then it has all the drawings attached as well, right?
Yeah, if you
Jason?
press Control End, it'll take you to the end of the document.
Well. Control end.
And
End, right, yeah. That end, there's two different ends.
yeah, that one.
Okay.
So as you can see, those are the, that's
Lighting.
the street lighting.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Those came out beautifully.
And then here's the drawings Jason was referring to that are, these are just legacy drawings from the existing subdivision control ordinance that he'd love to have done by a CAD expert, redone by a CAD expert, but
They look pretty
work.
clean.
Yeah, they work.
Yeah, I spent about an hour working on cleaning them up, getting rid of the dimpling and the background noise and
Yeah, no, they look good.
So one of the things I wanted to bring to your attention that we decided to go back to is allowing building permits with an intermediate course of asphalt down. That's the way the current subdivision control ordinance reads now. One of the developers brought to my attention that, and I wasn't aware of this, I discussed it with Doug, who confirmed it as well, and Ken Kraus as well, but the final surface of asphalt needs to be put down at a higher temperature than the intermediate course. Intermediate course, I believe, is 32 degrees.
Depends on the thickness.
Yeah, and then the final surface needs to be 42 degrees or warmer to put that in. So, and as most of us know, developers are oftentimes scrambling to put in some asphalt at the end of the season before the plants close, and it's the base, the intermediate, and if they couldn't pull building permits without the final surface down, they'd go all winter without building homes.
Okay.
And that just wasn't the way to do things for them or for us. So, we've decided to go back to the two things they don't have to have in place in order to get building permits are the final surface of asphalt and the streetlights.
Streetlights, okay.
Streetlights do, however, have to be operational before we issue the first certificate of zoning, or certificate of occupancy.
I see.
Yeah. You don't have to have the final surface of asphalt down in order to get a CO, but you do have to have operational streetlights.
Right.
So, that was one of the important things. We did go to, in this document, Jack, we are going to a 3-year warranty period instead of 2 on all improvements put in by developers. Then there were some other relatively minor, like, for whatever reason, Bob said that the warning mats that we said, should we dictate a color, and we went with red. He said it needs to be brick red. I'm not sure why, but
Right.
brick red. So that was one of the things that put in there. Then a specific model number for fire hydrants. One of the things, I think this is one of the things that John had brought up, was the rebar. in
Yeah,
the-
and can we clean that up even more and just put like 3 number 5 rebar, 10 feet long, centered over the trench or something like that? Because it doesn't have a diameter size for the rebar or anything like that, the way.
If you can give me that language, Jason and I can put it into that,
Yeah,
into the
I'll do
ordinance.
that tomorrow then.
Yeah, if you can, yeah. That was a discussion between Ken and Bob and I, and Ken's the one who said it needs to go, and Ken can offer his comments, but it needs to go at least 6 inches beyond the top of the trench.
Yeah,
for
and that's,
the-
by the time we go to do the sidewalk pre-pour, the trench is long gone. Most of the guys doing sewer and water hookups are using a 2 or 3 foot wide bucket. So if you use a 10-foot stick, it'd get you beyond.
5 feet on each side.
Yeah, it'd get you well enough there. So if you just center the 10-foot bar on the notch in the curb, you'd be more than covered, and it'd be a little more.
Okay. And then, in terms of the hydrants that get put in, we're gonna make sure that there are, markers on each of them, Jack, the 5-foot fiberglass markers, yeah. Specific, model number is shown on here. And then, Adam, you had rewritten the language on page 74, section 4. Did we need to visit that, or? That was, let me get to it on the electronic. That was under administration, I believe, Adam, where you had changed some language for us. Slow down, slow down. Oh, well, again, on this page, I put in here also the final surface of asphalt is one of the exceptions that doesn't need to be in place before getting building permits. And this is where the comment is that streetlights do have to be in place and must be operational prior to the issuance of any occupancy permits. Oh, it was under acceptance, I'm sorry, Adam, it was down here, yeah.
I can
Page
pull it.
75.
Let's see.
We cleaned up that language from the original, our original go-around.
It was primarily to make certain that improvements included in its definition, permanent stormwater drainage and detention facilities.
Right, right.
I think, and then also to make consistent that the digital copy of the as-built plans would clearly identify by color shading or hatching on the digital copy the portions of street improvements that would be accepted by the town.
Okay,
I think that was the second
yeah.
purpose of those changes.
So we feel like we've got this document ready to roll out. And as Adam explained to you, the process, it'll go through, goes to the council, council recommends it back to the plan commission, and then you hopefully accept those changes at your August 5th meeting, and then it becomes valid, correct?
Right, once it's accepted by the plan commission, it's considered adopted as the action taken by the town council at its July meeting.
So once that's done, then we'll start on the zoning ordinance.
Okay.
So this will be on your August 5th agenda,
Okay.
ladies and gentlemen.
Any questions from the plan commission to Rick or Jason or John? Hearing none. I need a motion.
Motion to adjourn.
Do I hear a second?
Sorry. Second.